The diner smelled of burnt coffee and cheap grease, the kind of place that lived between midnight and morning, where the hum of neon lights outlasted the hope of the people sitting beneath them. At a corner booth, a young woman sat alone, fingers moving gracefully as she scrolled through her phone, oblivious to the faint laughter coming from across. Her name was Lena, a deaf college student who came here every night after her shift at the gas station. She liked the silence, the hum of the world filtered away by her quiet universe. But that night, silence wasn't what she got. 3 men in their early 20s swaggered in, local troublemakers. They noticed her right away, the hearing aids, the way she didn't react to the door chime, and one of them, tall and wiry, grinned like a wolf spotting easy prey. They sat close, ordering fries they wouldn't pay for, and began whispering, mocking the way her lips moved when she muttered to herself. One of them, Rex, the waitress, a tired woman named Donna, shot them a warning look, but she'd seen this movie before. No one in that town ever stood up for anyone. The bullies leaned in closer, cruel amusement thick in the air. Rex grabbed Lena's phone from the table, pretending to help her order. When she reached for it, he jerked it away, mimicking her voice in an exaggerated tone, a sharp, ugly sound that made the other two laugh harder. She froze, eyes wide, trapped between humiliation and fear. The diner had gone quiet, all except. That's when the door opened, and Jason Statham walked in. He wasn't supposed to be there, just a traveler passing through after a charity event in town. Dressed in a dark jacket and jeans, head shaved clean, eyes calm but razor-sharp, he looked like a man with no patience for drama. He walked up to the counter, nodded at but his gaze caught the scene, the bullies still laughing, Lena shrinking into the corner. He turned his head slightly, reading the air like a predator sizing up the noise in the room. Donna whispered, "Leave it, love. They're not worth it." He didn't answer. Instead, he placed a crisp bill on the counter, took his mug and walked toward the booth, the weight of his steps enough to make the laughter stutter and die mid-breath. "Something funny going on here?" he asked quietly, his accent slicing through the tension like a blade. Rex smirked, puffing up his chest. "Just having a bit of fun, mate. She doesn't even know what we're saying." Jason's eyes flicked to Lena, scared, trembling, trying to make herself invisible, then back to the trio. His expression. The diner suddenly felt smaller, heavier. "You think that makes it right?" he asked, voice low, steady. Rex chuckled nervously. "Relax, man. No harm done." But Jason stepped closer, setting his mug down with quiet precision. "Then let's see if you laugh the same when someone picks you." The next few seconds were a blur. Rex tried to shove him. A mistake. Jason moved faster than any of them could think. A twist of the wrist, a shift of balance, and Rex's face hit the counter. The other two stood, startled, but Jason was already moving. Fluid, efficient. One punch to the gut, one elbow to the jaw. The third one tried to swing a chair, but Jason caught it mid-air, spun it, and used it to pin him against the wall. The diner echoed with the crash of. Lena watched, eyes wide, as the chaos unfolded. Silent but thunderous in her world. When it was over, the bullies were groaning on the floor, and Jason simply adjusted his jacket, calm as ever. He turned to Lena, gently placed her phone back on the table, and smiled, a small reassuring curve of his lips. He signed a simple message with his hands, clumsy but sincere, "You're safe now." Her eyes widened. Someone had taken the time to learn her language. Donna stood behind the counter, jaw slack, muttering, "Holy hell!" Jason nodded toward the door, tossed a few bills to cover the damages, and said, "Coffee was good. Keep the change." Then he left, as quietly as he had arrived, a ghost who left justice in his wake. Outside, rain began to fall, washing the neon reflection off the diner's window, leaving behind only the echo of what happens when cruelty meets consequence. The aftermath lingered in the diner long after the chaos had subsided, like smoke refusing to disperse after a fire. The 3 bullies limped out the door, grumbling curses and excuses, their arrogance shattered, their pride bruised more than their bodies. The neon sign outside flickered in sync with the rain, casting a faint red glow on the wet asphalt as they disappeared into the night. Inside, the air was thick with a mixture of adrenaline, fear, and relief. Donna, the weary waitress with her curls tied up beneath her cap, moved cautiously toward Lena, helping her gather her scattered belongings. Her hand shook slightly, betraying the tension she had been holding back the entire time, but her voice was soft and steady as she asked, "Are you all right, sweetheart?" Lena nodded, typing a quick thank you on her phone, her fingers still trembling. The events had left her heart racing, and though the fear was still there, it mingled with a profound sense of the diner itself seemed transformed. Where it had once felt cramped and oppressive, filled with the weight of quiet judgment and unspoken cruelty, it now felt almost the faint hum of the refrigerator and the soft sizzle from the kitchen seemed to blend into a calming symphony, a background that promised safety instead of danger. Lena looked around, noticing small details she had never paid attention to before. The polished chrome of the counter, the way the morning sunlight would eventually filter through the dusty windows, the subtle shine of the checkered floor reflecting the overhead lights. Each element of the diner now seemed to carry the memory of the night's events, a monument to both the chaos and the calm that had followed. Word of what had happened spread quickly through the small town, like fire racing across dry grass. By morning, whispers of the British guy who flattened 3 punks in under a minute, some called him a hero, a protector who had stepped in when no one else dared. Others debated whether he had gone too far, whether justice should be measured in punches and swift, silent retribution. But for those who had witnessed the scene up close, Lena, Donna, and the occasional diner regular, the simple truth was clear. It wasn't about punishment or spectacle. It was about drawing a line in the sand and letting everyone know that cruelty would not be tolerated, that there were still those willing to stand up for the vulnerable. For Lena, the experience was transformative in ways she hadn't anticipated. For the first time in a long while, she felt truly seen. Not for her vulnerability, but for her humanity. Jason's presence had cut through the isolation that her deafness often enforced, offering her a glimpse of a world where people could act with honor and compassion. She replayed the memory over and over. The calm precision in his movements, the unwavering focus in his eyes, the quiet authority that demanded respect without a single raised voice. And she remembered the gentleness that followed the violence. How he returned her phone, nodded reassuringly, and communicated in the simplest, most sincere way she could understand. "You're safe now." That single, understated moment had anchored her in a sense of security she had rarely experienced. Days passed, and the diner gradually returned to its usual rhythm. Truckers ordering double espressos, locals sliding into red vinyl booths, the jukebox humming old tunes that Lena couldn't hear but felt in the vibration. Yet despite the normalcy, everything had shifted subtly for her. She walked taller, moved with more confidence, and allowed herself to smile more freely. Every time the door chimed, she glanced up instinctively, but he never did. Life, as it always does, pressed forward. And yet, in those small, intimate moments, sipping coffee, feeling the gentle vibration of the jukebox, noticing the way the neon lights played across the diner tiles, she carried with her the enduring presence of someone who had recognized her worth when no one else would. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the diner's windows in a warm amber glow, Donna approached her with an envelope in her hand. Lena's curiosity spiked immediately. The envelope was simple, unmarked, and unassuming, yet it radiated significance. Inside, she found a neatly handwritten note, the letters blocky and deliberate, as if written with care and intention. "You've got a strength most people will never understand." Beside the note lay a small pair of silicone earplugs, practical, yet symbolic. A gesture that spoke volumes. Protection, respect, acknowledgement. Lena felt a surge of emotions. Here was someone she had never met before, yet he had seen her, acknowledged her existence, and reminded her of the quiet power she held within herself. It wasn't just a message about surviving the night's ordeal. It was a message about thriving, about embracing one's uniqueness and refusing to let cruelty define your life. The rain had begun to taper off outside, leaving the asphalt slick and reflective, the world outside calm after the storm. Lena tucked the note safely into her wallet, a talisman of courage she could carry with her. Every detail of the night, the laughter, the fear, the sudden intrusion of justice, replayed in her mind like a vivid film, teaching her lessons she would carry forward. That strength can manifest quietly, that courage can be silent. Somewhere along the distant highway, Jason drove under dim streetlights, the wipers cutting through the mist of the residual rain. His silhouette, framed against the dark interior of his vehicle, was a study in motion and stillness at once. A man who moved through the world decisively, leaving justice in his wake without lingering for. He never looked back at the diner, yet in his mind's eye, he could still see the warm glow of the neon lights, the small figure of Lena safely tucked in her booth. His journey was one of quiet intervention, of subtle yet unwavering morality, the kind of presence that would ripple outward long after the moment itself had passed. For Lena, the night had been transformative, a mix of fear and courage, vulnerability and protection. She realized heroism didn't need to roar. It could be quiet, patient, and powerful in a single gesture. As she sipped her coffee, she felt more than safe. she felt seen, empowered, and reminded that even in a cruel world, kindness and courage could appear unexpectedly.